Welcome to the Lambton College International Graduate Services and Support Center, your dedicated resource for navigating life after graduation. We know the journey can be complex, from understanding immigration processes to making career decisions and expanding your professional network. That's why we're here, to simplify these challenges and support your transition into Canadian life. At the International Graduate Services and Support Center, our mission extends beyond your academic achievements. We are here to facilitate your successful integration into the Canadian workforce and society. From career counseling to workshops on Canadian workplace culture and immigration support, our services are tailored to meet the unique needs of international graduates. We're committed to empowering you with the tools and knowledge necessary for success. Embrace the opportunity to connect with fellow graduates and professionals through our networking events and stay informed with our comprehensive webinars covering a range of topics crucial for your postgraduate success. Remember, the path to achieving your aspirations is a journey we undertake together. Ready to take the next step? Visit our website and join our supportive community. Remember to follow us on Instagram and on LinkedIn for upcoming immigration webinars, networking events, and much more. Together, let's make your postgraduate journey a success.
All right, good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for joining us today. My name is Cristina Yiguren, and I'm the coordinator of International Graduate Services and Support Center. I would like to remind you that we are recording this webinar so that you can watch it later on our YouTube channel, and you're also going to get the recording shortly. Also want to invite you to follow us on our social media accounts where you are going to get the latest information about the center. We're going to host this same event on this Saturday. So if you do have more questions after all we're gonna see today, you can join us again for sure. We're also going to have an OIMP, PR options for Ontario this month, and French for immigration. Next month, we're gonna have an amazing networking event. So I do really recommend you to stay tuned and follow us. We have also shared some options about a job fair that's happening online in March 11 and 12. So just follow us and you will get all the information and you won't miss anything. As you know, this center is dedicated to assisting you, our international graduates, as you seek employment and settle into Canadian life following graduation. Our international graduates have access to immigration, career advice, and networking events. Also want to remind you that there are countless reasons why you can take pride in being a Lambton graduate, as I'm also very proud of working here. We've been ranked as one of Canada's top research colleges, and we're here to support you all the way, even after graduation, with the services I just mentioned to you. Today, we're going to have an amazing event with teacher Mike. Probably you know him already from social media. He's kind of famous out there. And we have hosted an event with him in the past, and it was amazing. You asked us to bring him back, and this is what we're doing. So we do really read your comments. And actually, after this session, you will have a very short interview, 5 questions and 1 optional. And we would love to get your feedback so we can keep supporting you. So teacher Mike, he is the founder of expressprep.ca, and he has helped immigrants become permanent residents by unlocking an amazing score on their CELPIP test. And I said this in the previous webinar as well. What's fascinating about him is he's just like us. He's also an immigrant. He came to Canada. He comes from a non-speaking English country, and he reached all the English level that he wanted and he desires. So he's a proof that we also can get fluent if we do really study it properly. And he will teach us today how to use the Express method to get our CELPIP score to the very top and at the best levels possible. As you know now, immigration is a bit complicated. So if you need more points, English and French is the key. We don't have more options. What you study, that's in the past, the years of experience you have, your age, we cannot change those things, but we can change our language skills, and we're here to help you with that. So Mike, again, amazing having you today again, and I'm very sure you will all get great value today. I just want to mention some housekeeping rules here. Remember to keep your questions in the Q&A, and we can leave the chat for interaction because you will see how Mike works. And that's it. So I'll see you in a moment, everybody. Thanks for joining. Mike, now it's over to you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much once again for the invite. I'm super happy and excited, and it makes me even happier to know that you guys enjoyed it so much last time that I'm here again. So I'm super excited. This time we're going to do something slightly different. We're going to talk only about the speaking test. So it's going to be very focused on that specific test, which is amazing because it's one of those parts of the test where learning how to do it increases your score dramatically. So I appreciate Christina for the introduction. It was very nice. Like, I think you said exactly what I say in my YouTube videos, so that was beautiful.
I'm studying it. Not kidding.
So thank you so much, and that's my goal actually. Yeah. So Christina is correct. For those of you who don't know me, I came in 2016 to Canada. I was single. I didn't. No, now I'm married. I have 3 kids, but at the time, 2016, I was single. Only one income, part-time jobs, very difficult life. But I realized CELPIP was the way to get my PR. And when I decided to do it for immigration, I was able to get a maximum score right away. So it was a crucial point of my journey to get the PR. And I promise you guys, once you are able to unlock that skill, things become easier because you feel relieved. You stop losing time, you stop wasting energy. And now maybe some of you guys will do CELPIP, get a maximum score, and then you can think about another thing. Maybe you do, and you do a 5 on French. Like, it's going to be fairly easy. So that's kind of the idea of unlocking that skill. It's absolutely correct, where the only thing you can control in your express entry, you can control job offers, but currently I don't think they're giving points anymore. Or they're not? I don't remember. Can you tell me just...
Actually, we are not supposed to give any immigration
Oh, my bad, my
advice
bad,
right
my
now.
bad, my
But
bad, my
no,
bad.
I mean, I think it depends on the path. So
Okay, never mind. So anyways, that's the thing you can unlock, which is your English score and your language score. It's the best thing ever. So let's get started, guys. What I like to do, and I'm looking at the chat here, what I love to do in the beginning of a lesson is everybody comment ready or yes, or I'm ready, or I'm here, because when we are doing live sessions like this, I don't see your faces. So I actually want to see you guys in the chat. So and everybody, if you can, just comment ready, I'm here, just me, just let's stay with me here because the class is going to be very interactive, okay? So let's start. So first things first, guys, what we're going to cover today, I'm going to do it in about 40 minutes or so. We're going to cover the whole speaking test. So it's a bit of a challenge, but I'm sure we can do it, okay? We're going to definitely be able to do it. So I'm actually going to cover all the tasks, okay? So for those of you guys who have never done the CELPIP test, I'm going to cover all the tests, 8 tasks. I'm going to show you examples of how to answer those tasks, okay? And at the end, of course, you guys have a Q&A option there, and I'll answer your questions, all right? So the first thing I need you to understand is this. So when I switched from teaching IELTS to teaching CELPIP, because when I got my CELPIP score, I was like, okay, I'm going to teach CELPIP only, because I was an IELTS expert before, and I switched to CELPIP. I realized that the CELPIP test is always the same. If you pay attention, you will be able to see this, that task 1 is always the same, task 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, but if it's always the same, what is the difference? The difference is the topic they ask, but the style of question is always the same. That's 100% guaranteed to you guys, which is a big advantage, because if I know what I will see in the test before I do it, then I can arrive more ready. And that's when I developed this technique. We call this the Express method. It's 3 words: context, skill, and framework. Context is all about which parts of the test that I need to read and which parts I can skip. There are certain parts of the test that you can skip completely, that you don't even need to read. I'll show you some of them today, although we don't have time to cover all of them. Skill is all about the ability, and I want you guys to think about the examiner here. So when the examiner creates the test, and they create task 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, 7, 8, they have a specific thing they want you to do. And we know what those things are. Not only because I've gone through the CELPIP certification program, of course, but also because we put it to test. I did it myself. I got 12, and my students every week were getting 12, 12, 12. So we know what they want. So hopefully I can show you most of it today. And the last step is a framework. And this is probably the most important one. Because when you guys start speaking and you don't have a technique like this, you freeze. Tell me yes in the comments if you guys have already done the CELPIP test before and you felt frozen, you felt out of ideas. Tell me in the comments, I want to know. Because this is one of the most common things, is you feel frozen, you feel out of ideas because you don't know how to start, you don't have creativity, and the framework solves this. So there are 4 things I want you guys to know. So first of all, it's 8 tasks. Second, you don't need formal or complicated English. This is super important. The CELPIP test is way different than IELTS, that if you guys done IELTS. They don't want you to use complicated things. Instead, they want you to use casual, daily English. But most importantly, guys, the most important thing you guys are going to learn from me today, which I hopefully can drill into your brains, is that you need to be realistic. There are going to be 4 tasks on CELPIP where the examiners want you to speak with someone. They're going to say, talk to your friend, talk to your husband, whatever. In those tasks, you cannot sound like a robot. You have to sound like you are really talking to that friend. And that's what makes templates prohibited. If you go on YouTube, you often find templates videos. Use this template for a 9 score. Guys, when we go through the CELPIP certification program, and it's not even there are 2 levels of the CELPIP certification program. The second level is a little bit more advanced. The first level is more basic. But at the first level, they say, if you start teaching students templates, they're going to get lower scores because they know what those templates are. So if you sound memorized, if you go to the test on task number 1 and you say the same thing every time, you will sound repetitive and robotic, and you are going to get a lower score. So we cannot teach you memorize this sentence, but we can teach you memorize this structure, which is hopefully what I can show you guys today. That's kind of my biggest goal. So what I will show you now, the way I structured this lesson is I'm going to spend a little bit more time in task 1 and less time on the others, just so I can show you the complete method, okay? So if we go through the complete method, we need to understand context, skill, and framework. Framework is the structure. What is the context? So when I am looking at task 1, my objective is to always give advice to someone I know. Always, 100% of the times. So if that is the thing that I always have to do, when I read the question, let me show you here. When I read the question, tell me guys if you can read it in the comments, just say yes if it's possible to read. I don't need to take too long to read it. When I read the question, I will pay attention to a few things. First thing I'm going to pay attention to is who is asking me the advice. So if you guys can do in the comments for me, who is asking me the advice? It should be fairly obvious. The next thing I pay attention to is this person male or female? Yes, CELPIP wants you to know that. So if you guys see here, we can see the word he. My next step is I pay attention to what problem my friend is facing. So what is the problem my friend is facing? Overwhelmed by tasks, and he is always late. So when I read task 1, I read it very quickly. I go like this. A colleague at work, overwhelmed with the tasks, okay, that's the problem, and stays late. Boom. That's the speed I go. I don't worry too much about the small details. I understand the problem. And then I have to pay attention to this last sentence because this is what CELPIP wants me to do. So what's the advice? Manage time. Do you see? So you want to see a big mistake people make? They give a different advice. They say, hey man, I know you are often late on your tasks, so I think you should ask your boss for fewer tasks. That's not the right advice. The right advice is how to manage the time. So when I am going through task 1, I always do this. Who? Male, female, what's the problem? What's the advice? This is so important. A lot of people, they stop here. They think they already know what to say. You have to understand what is the advice. The examiners are looking for present grammar. You don't need to know anything more fancy than this. But the most important thing they're looking for are advice expressions. Can you guys tell me in the comments very quickly, What is an example of an advice expression? Tell me in the comments very, very quickly. What's the first one that comes to mind when you are giving advice? You should. Very good, Juliana. That's the first one. There are many others. So the idea, very good, Luisa, if I were you. The idea is I want to learn a few of those so that I can use them. Because if I always say the same, you should, lower score. Okay? And here's the framework for you guys. Now, again, I told you, in task 1, I'm going to spend more time. I'm going to give you not only the framework, I'm going to give you the complete step-by-step with the complete framework. This is the complete framework. But then for tasks 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, there's no time for us to go over everything. But I will go into the most that I can. So this is the framework. I start with a greeting because I'm talking to my friend. It doesn't make sense to start right away with saying, you should do this. Because I lose time if I do this, because I need to speak for 90 seconds. So I need to start with a greeting. Hey, how's it going, John? Whatever you want to say in the greeting. There's no rule for this. Hey, John, how's it going, John? How's it going, Sarah? I always use John and Sarah for male, female. I find it easier, but you guys can use any names. And then I repeat the problem and I give an introduction to the advice. Why are those two things so important? Because I'm showing the examiner I understood. The best example I like to give my students about this is about the shoulder check when you are doing your driver's license exam. Anybody has a driver's license in Canada, say yes in the comments. Tell me if you remember when you are driving, you have to do a shoulder check. Do you guys remember this? Tell me yes in the comments if you remember doing this. Isn't it funny that when we are doing the test, the real test, the exam, we want to get our G full license. I know, I was in Ontario. So when I was there, you have to do your license. You want to do your G full, you're in the highway or whatever, and you want to merge and you go, boom. But don't you do it with more emphasis? You're like, hey, man, I'm really looking. So this is what we do in this part. We are almost like giving the examiner our shoulder check here, where I'm saying, hey, examiner, I know the problem and the advice I have to give. That's super important. The examiner is very happy with this. And then here is where 80% of your score comes from. You organize it well, order, you give the advice, you explain it very well, and you make a realistic connection with that person. Why is this last step important? Because it makes your speaking feel very real. And then we have a quick closing, okay? So this is the framework, which we're not gonna spend too much time on, but I just want you guys to see that structure. And I didn't really think about giving you guys this slide, but at the end of the lesson, we can talk about it. Probably I can send it to you somehow. So when we have the complete structure, which is this is the complete structure, we are able then to create a complete framework like this. You don't memorize sentences. You can memorize very small parts. This is okay. But even this, I teach you guys to change, to make it your own. So you're going to say, hey, John, I've heard you're having problem with tasks at work. So here are some things you can do to manage your time, right? This is better than just saying, so here are some ideas. This is too generic. So you want to say, so here are some things you can do to manage your time, which is, again, the advice. And then this is super important, organization, because 90% of you guys don't organize your speaking. You sound like robots. Like, hey, John, so here's the first thing you need to do. You guys have to organize that speaking. And here is where your score comes from. I use expressions of advice. I give good advice, and I give good explanations, and I make at least one connection. So for this task only, I want you guys to help me. If you were giving this person advice, how to manage his time, can you guys tell me in the comments just one thing, each of you, that you would say to this person? And I'm going to use your advice to show you a speaking here. So tell me in the comments one thing, each of you, that you would say to this person that you would like to give advice. So schedule. So have a schedule, not make one. You can have a schedule. That's good. What else? Have a schedule is good. What else? Is there anything else? Come on, don't be shy. Be creative. Don't worry about what you say. Everything. Okay, so prioritize. That's nice. So have a schedule, prioritize. One more thing before we finish. Have a schedule and prioritize. One more thing. Okay, you guys don't come up with anything. I'll come up with one very quickly. Have an alarm. Yeah, that's good. Reviewing your timetable, that's good. But let's make it simple. Have a schedule, prioritize better, have an alarm. Okay. I am going to use at least 3 of those. Okay. So I always like to use why don't you? I love to use I recommend, and I love to use this one. Very nice, very realistic. Okay. So check it out. Here's what I would do. Hey, John, I've heard you're having some trouble with your tasks at work. So here are some things you can do to manage your time better. First of all, why don't you create a schedule so that you can actually follow it daily? I use some calendars, but you can use to-do lists or something. I know you are a very technological guy. It surprises me that you don't have a set schedule yet. Second, I'd probably recommend that you prioritize top tasks. I'm sure you have many tasks during the day, but if you can set up a priority, you likely find it easier to finish them by the end of the day. Now, finally, one thing you can probably do is you can set up some alarms, right? So when things get busy at work, set alarms for your time to finish something, and that will help you remind of when you need to have it done. So I really hope this helps you out. Let me know if it's gonna work and if you need any type of help. Finished. I don't know how much time I took. Maybe it was a little bit over 90 seconds, but hopefully what I can show you, oops, okay, good. Hopefully what I can show you is that once I have this structure, I barely have to think. And that's the most important thing. Does that make sense? Everybody say yes if it makes sense. Does that make sense, guys? Yeah? So now we are going to go through every task. And I'm going to do it. I promise I'm going to... What time do I have to finish, Chris?
We can extend a little bit if needed, but it should be at 6:30.
Okay, so 6:30. Definitely can do it. So let's do it. So we're going to do I'm going to show you the framework. I don't have time to show you context, skill, and framework, but at least I'm going to show you guys the framework. So task 2, let's talk about what you have to do in task 2 very quickly. You have to talk about a personal story. Here's the story. You need to talk about, can everybody tell me what verb tense is this? You guys should know. Everybody should know. What is this verb tense? Tell me in the comments. What is this verb tense? Let's go. Wake up, everybody. What is this verb tense? Past. That's what examiners want. They want me to use the past. But they don't want a disorganized story. So when I look at task 2, I read this line and I pay attention to exactly what they want. I need to talk about helping someone. It has to be in the past. Here, the examiners will kind of give me some ideas. Maybe you can talk about a friend or a family member, but you don't need to follow this. You can choose your story. But what you need to follow is the 3 questions. The last question, examiners want you to use feelings, okay? So the last question is always about feelings, like, how did the experience affect you? And you have to say, oh, it affected me. I felt so incredibly blessed to help, and whatever. It's you create your own story. It doesn't need to be real. It doesn't need to be special. The examiners don't care about your story. They just want to see your English using the past. So here's the right structure. Oops, sorry, this is test 3. There you go. I start with the setting of the story. Why? Guys, I will always start a story with where and when it happened. So if I'm going to talk about helping someone in need, I'm going to say, well, I think I was about 12 years old when my friend needed help at school with his English tests. Perfect. I have an actual clear where and when. I always spend a little bit of time on the characters, because a common mistake here is you guys tell the story too quickly and you don't reach the maximum time. So I like to spend a little bit of time on the characters, maybe 5 seconds. I'll say something like, this was one of my best friends at school. His name was Gabriel, and he wasn't the best at English. At the time, I was already fluent. So he really needed my help to be able to pass his final exam. Boom. When I do this, I now get to the WH questions. So the WH questions are right here. Who did you help? I already answered in this case, so no problem. I already solved this. What did you do to help them? I'm going to spend most of my time here. So what did I do to help this friend who needed help with her English exam? And notice how I'm going to say everything in the past, every single part of the story in the past. So what we did is we met every Friday after school. I This was right before soccer practice, and we talked about the context of the lessons that we've had in English that week. He had some problems with some verb tenses and grammar, and thankfully I was able to teach him most of it. That's it. I don't need to go too deep into detail. I'm just telling what did I do to help him. And now, how did the experience affected me? Again, I want to use a feeling here. And I want to show the examiner I know what we're talking about. So again, remember, shoulder check. I'll say something like this. This experience affected me in a great way. Like, do you see? Shoulder check. I show the examiner that I'm answering the last question. And here, as long as I say how it affected me, so this experience affected me very positively because I decided to become an English teacher later. This is a true story, by the way. Once you say how you felt, the timer can be over. No problem. The problem is if you don't say the last question and the timer is over. So be careful with this. You need to practice at home with a timer, okay? So for task 2, you need to speak for 60 seconds. Okay, I was able to do it in a few minutes. How was it for you guys? It was good? Let's go to part 3, and I'm gonna cover everything. So if you have more questions, we can ask for the Q&A. Task 3. Very quickly, guys. This task 3 and 4, we're gonna go very quickly because all examiners want from task 3 is good descriptions. What's the pen not working? There you go. So the oh my God, come on. So the examiners, what is happening? Okay, anyways, the examiners are looking for good descriptions. In task 3, if we open the question, I want you guys to notice something very important. Describe some things that are happening in the picture below as well as you can. The person with whom you are speaking cannot see the picture. So let's talk about this. What is the verb tense of this? Oh my God, why is my Apple Pen not working? Oh, that's so annoying. Anyways, what is the verb tense of this? Present what? There's something else there. ING. Examiners want that ING, okay? So they want you to use that. So when I look at the picture, I want to use verb tenses, continuous, I want to use ING. Most importantly, guys, I don't need to focus on colors. Like, oh, the bar has some decorations that are blue and white. You don't need that. You want to focus on the action. So you want to say that one of the waiters is carrying a tray and it looks like he's serving everybody and he is rushing because it's a very busy day. That's what you want to do, right? And I'm sorry for the image is kind of small, but here you guys can see, right? So that's what you really want to do here. So when we think about the structure, I just want you guys to remember 3 things. We start in a very macro, there you go, macro information. I don't start talking about the waiter because I have to describe what is this. So I have to say, this is a picture of the inside of a very busy bar or restaurant. You have the right introduction there. Your next step, you can use some there are. You can say there are many people, some waiters and some bartenders. That's fine. You can describe some things. And then you have to explain what is happening. In order to explain what's happening, I always like to find the people that I'm talking about. So I never start randomly. I don't say something like, the waiter is helping people. Which waiter? So I need to describe where they are in the picture first. So what I like to do, I like to start at the center, or if I want to start on the right side or on the left side. And I always use the word picture. So right at the center of the picture, it looks like there's a bar where 2 bartenders are serving drinks to people. Easy, so simple. And then once I have found one, now it's so easy because now I can just use them to go to the next ones. So I'll go, well, to the right side of the bar, there are 2 waiters. One of them is taking orders and the other has a tray. It looks like he's serving everybody, right? And there you go. And then right in front of them, there's a round table with a couple. It looks like they are drinking and having fun, enjoying their dinner. And right at the bottom right corner of the picture, it looks like there is another waiter. It appears he's taking his rest. And by this time, after I talked about 4 or 5 things, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, usually time is over and I'm good to go. Does that make sense? Is it clear? Tell me in the comments if it makes sense. Awesome. Task 4 is so simple because what we learned about talking about where things are, so in the front of the picture, right side, left side, we will use the same. The good news is task 4 is always gonna be the same picture. So as I'm doing 3, I'm already feeling ready for part 4. The good news is that in part 4, look at this, they are talking about the future. Hopefully you guys noticed. Task 1, present, giving advice. Task 2, past, talking about a story. Task 3, present ing, talking about actions. Task 4, making predictions using the future. So there is really nothing crazy here. The most important thing is that you guys understand the framework here, which you don't need to describe anything. You are going to go straight into the actions. So you're just going to say, and again, this is good, but if you can make it something that you would normally say, it feels more realistic to you, then you change it. You don't need to say exactly this. Although I recommend you use words like probably, because that's what examiners are looking for. So the 2 most important words is the word probably and gonna, which is the future. Those 2 words I want to use. The rest doesn't matter. You can say what is probably going to happen next, or what is probably, well, going to happen is kind of the best way, but you can change it in many ways you want. What's probably about to happen is, feel free to change it. But the most important thing is to show the examiner that you're going to describe the future. And then you don't need to describe the picture anymore. You are going to talk straight about a specific person. This is my favorite way of doing this. Oh, very good question, Luisa. We can do the Q&A, but very quickly, yes, you can use gonna. And my recommendation is you learn to use it. Learn to use gonna because it's gonna feel more realistic, okay? Again, you don't need to sound robotic. Going to do this. So what I do is I describe the person I'm talking about first, right? So if I ask you guys, the man sitting at the table at the bottom right corner, do you guys know who he is? Yes or no? Just by describing like this. You should be able to know who he is, right? The man sitting at the table at the bottom right corner. So yes, it is the waiter. So I want to do this because I want to show the examiner who I'm talking about. And then I will, as soon as I describe who I'm talking about, I'm going to go into the future. He's likely going to finish his break. He's probably going to get back to work as it's very busy and he needs to help his colleagues. Boom. And then next person. The woman sitting at the table with her husband is probably going to have some more drinks. She might get drunk and have to go home carried by her partner. You can say anything you want, right? So very easy task here. What examiners want, future, and they want you to say something that makes sense. That's the most important thing. I don't want to say, the bar is going to catch fire and everybody's going to run. Like, you cannot say that. You have to say something that is realistic. Okay? Good? You guys are feeling good? Task 5. Now, I've never done it so quickly, but tell me if you guys are getting good value. Hopefully you guys are getting good value. We're going to finish. We're going to do 5, 6, 7, 8. This is the framework of 5. This is super important. If I were to tell you what is the most important thing on 5 is this part here. If you need to learn one thing about task 5 is this. What is the issue people face when we do task 5? So for those of you who have never done the test before, I may even show you here on my computer. I want to show you guys how. So give me a second here. Let me open the speaking test here. So if we go to task 5, again, these are tests that we give our students, all right? So I have to choose one option. And the test will give me 60 seconds to make a choice, Okay, you guys can see the timer here. When I make the choice, I want you guys to see what happens. When I click, I don't need to click next because I can wait for this timer. But when the timer is over and I click next, there is another choice. This is important because now you have your choice and another choice, and you get extra time here. So in reality, if you are paying attention, you don't have only 60 seconds to prepare. You have 120 because on this first screen, you're going to make a decision. Once you make a decision, don't look about the other one. Don't worry. Just focus on yours. And then once you click next, you will have the other choice. So what examiners want? They will give you a reason why you need to compare. You need to pay attention to that reason. So if I show you, if we go back here to our this is our students. The reason why I need to compare is because I'm in charge of the delivery vehicle of my company, and I have to make a choice. And I'm going to have to talk to my coworker. In this first screen, I make my choice, right? I don't remember what I put here. Okay, I put the van. I want you guys to notice another thing. Do you see very clearly, tell me yes or no, that the choices are completely different? One is an electric van, the other one is a diesel truck. So it's very different for our company, right? The most important thing you guys need to learn is that you need to compare this to this, this to this, this to this, this to this. Now, this example is pretty simple, to be honest with you guys, because it's already helping you. It's saying cost this, cost this. This is pretty easy. There are other examples which we offer our students that are harder because in many situations, it's not going to be so direct, like cost and then the cost of the fuel, the range, and this is maybe the only one that is kind of different, which is environment and powerful engine. But that's the only one. In many situations, they're going to be fairly different, but you have to find a way to compare. I'll show you now what you do to compare, okay? So what you do to compare here is you have to organize by line. So you're gonna say greeting again, hey John, and then you again repeat and introduce. So, hey John, I know you have a choice for the diesel truck. I'm not sure if that's the best choice for our company, right? You repeat it, you have to do it. And once you do this, then you're gonna organize and go and you compare. So then you're going to say, well, first of all, and this is where I want you guys to pay attention to. So, well, first of all, let's go here. Here. Well, first of all, I understand that the diesel truck is cheaper than the van. This is where you guys make mistakes. Some of you guys, when you guys are my students, I see you're speaking, and you guys forget to compare. You have great English, and then you go like this. The electric van costs $35,000, while the diesel truck costs $30,000. So we save $5,000. Great. Not a comparison. You need to use the comparisons. Cheaper, better, faster, more reliable, more fun, more entertaining, better for the company, whatever. But you need those comparisons. So here, very quickly, very super quickly, just so you guys can see the comparison, okay? Hey, John, I know you're looking for the diesel truck for our delivery company, although I'd say that the electric van is probably the best choice. So first of all, it is going to be more environmentally friendly as we are not going to use a powerful diesel engine. It's going to be better for the company because customers are going to be happier. You see? Better for the environment, customers are happier, better for the company. All of those things are comparisons. That's what examiners want here, okay? Not going to get crazy into this today to show you guys, but it gives you enough information, all right? Task 6. Again, tell me in the comments you guys are feeling good. Let's go. Task 6. The task 6, the only downside of task 6 is that I really have to read everything. There's no choice. So task 6 is the only one where I have to read everything, okay? So I'll read it for you, and I'll show you what examiners want in task 6, okay? You live in an apartment building, and your neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, often complains about the noise. So I want you guys to notice that there is a clear problem. And then now you are going to have two choices. That's super important to pay attention to. Your roommate, Chris, thinks you should ignore Mrs. Thompson's since you are not breaking any rules. Another neighbor, Lisa, thinks you should try to resolve the issue by talking to Mrs. Thompson. I want you guys to notice this. I may even take notes here. What does Chris wants me to do? He wants me to ignore. Okay? What does Lisa wants me to do? She wants me to talk. Okay? Now I want you guys to notice what the CELPIP test tells me to do. Talk to Chris and explain why you should talk to Mr. Thompson. Do you guys see here? I am going to talk to someone and disagree with them. So the examiners are looking for one specific skill for you guys. Is the ability to give bad news. In every single one of these tasks, task 6, you have to disagree with someone. This is super important. If the examiners want me to give bad news, the next thing they're looking for is if I can be polite. Because I'll tell you guys right now, the most common things you guys do is not being polite. Chris definitely knows, right? When we're talking to international students, and it's not on purpose. I know it's because of your language. When you learn English, you in your native languages, even Portuguese, I'm from Brazil, you are direct. Hi, Chris, I cannot do this tonight. I'll talk tomorrow. Like, hey, Chris, unfortunately, I think we can do it today, but what if we schedule for the next day? We better. We're saying the same thing. Okay, good. We're saying the same thing. So this is what we need to learn. So here, in the structure, I do my greeting. And in my greeting, I will show the examiner who I'm talking to. So do you guys want to tell me in the comments, very quickly, do you want us to talk to Chris and disagree with him and say that we should talk to our neighbor? Or do you want me to talk to Lisa and disagree with her and say I should ignore my neighbor? Which one do you guys want to do? It doesn't matter which one you do. Okay, you want to do Chris. Nice. You guys are going to be nice neighbors. So I'm going to start by saying, hey, Chris. That's all you need to do. And then I have to repeat the situation. Say, hey, Chris, look, I know you want me to maybe ignore Mrs. Thompson, but look, wouldn't it be better if we had a better relationship? So I'm just being polite. Doesn't matter what you say, as long as you repeat the situation to the examiner. Once again, I think you guys are getting it. I'm doing the shoulder check, right? My next step is I'm going to give 2 good reasons, just 2. And then this is where our students get amazing scores. This is something I created for you guys, which is the suggestion. If I disagree with someone and I make a suggestion, I'm super polite. I want you guys to do this in your real life too, not only on CELPIP, okay? If you disagree with someone, give them a suggestion. Everybody's going to be happy, all right? So you're going to say, hey, Chris, I know maybe you want to avoid Mrs. Thompson. I think we should probably talk to her. So first of all, and then we give good reasons. She's our neighbor. We need a good relationship, blah, blah, blah. Second reason is going to be she's kind of old. We need to be respectful. Okay, whatever. The reasons are not so important. Here, look, Chris, why don't we do this? Do you see this? Super important. I make the suggestion. Look, Chris, why don't we talk to her today? And if she doesn't stop complaining, even though we're following the rules, then we can start ignoring her. But first we need to try. Perfect. Chris will say, okay, yeah, that's a good idea. And then you just close. And my favorite way of closing is by giving a call to action. This is not mandatory, but just makes it more realistic, where you say, okay, so let's talk to her today. Are you free tonight by 6 p.m.? Very realistic, right? Examiners are like, they see this, they're going to kiss you, okay? It's great. All right. Okay, good. Let me give you a very quick practice time for you. I'm going to go over very quickly, okay, just so you guys can see. Hey, Chris, I know you want to maybe ignore Mrs. Thompson, although I think we should probably talk to her. So first of all, she's our neighbor. She's a little bit elderly. Maybe she has something that's bothering her. We just need to find out what it is. Second, it's better to have a good relationship with neighbors. We never know when we may need a favor. Maybe we need someone to go into our apartment when we're traveling. So let's at least give this a try. So look, why don't we talk to her today for a few minutes? And if she continues bothering us, even though we're following the rules, then I agree with you. We can start ignoring her. What do you think? Are you free tonight by 6 p.m.? Let me know. Boom. You're good. So one thing, hopefully you guys can see, tell me yes if you guys could visualize this today. and we're gonna make it on time. Good. So hopefully what you guys are gonna see here, and hopefully what you guys can visualize, is that I don't sound robotic, and I'm talking to a friend, and that's what examiners really want. Some tip I usually give my students is, when you are looking at the screen, try to picture a friend. That helps and makes it sounds natural. Excellent. Task 7, guys. Task 7, fairly easy to understand what to do. Fairly difficult to become very good at it, but fairly easy to understand what to do, okay? The task 7, they will always give you 2 types of questions, okay? In general, there's 2 types of questions. This is a yes or no question, okay? Do you think students should have to wear uniforms in school? The other type of question you may see here is a this or that question. Those are the 2 most common types of questions. There's one more, which we don't need to get in today, because probably you will not see it, but these are the 2 most common styles of questions. Yes or no? Do you think this? Or this or that? Do you think this or that? Fairly easy. So it's not difficult to understand what to do. So where students make mistakes here? They make mistakes here. They make mistakes here because what examiners want from you is your opinion. Your opinion means you need to learn how to give a good argument. And the problem here that I see that people make mistakes is that their arguments are very poor or very weak. We don't have time, of course, to go into the quality of a good argument. There are 3 things that we need to cover to understand a good argument. But the basic thing a good argument has is a good reason for that argument. A lot of people, they never give a good reason. They go straight with the example. One of the most common things, okay? Let me show you what you guys do. So look, tell me yes in the comments if you already did this, okay? So look, do you think students should have to wear uniforms? And then you say this. Yes, because if they wear uniforms, then yes or no? Tell me if you guys done this before when you're giving an argument. When you are giving an argument, you cannot say if or when, because if or when introduces a situation, which is an example. Of course, you can use an example in your argument, but you have to start with the reason. You don't start with the example. Dairy, you got it. I'm not sure. Dairy is probably my student, right? Or maybe I talk about this in another class, but there you go. PRE. So we don't have time to get into PRE, Dairy, but congratulations. Exactly. So at least what I want you guys to be able to do in this task is to be able to have a good reason. That's all. The most important thing. Exactly. Point, reason, example. So I say, I give my introduction. So I'll say, in my opinion, students should definitely have to wear uniforms in school. And then I organize 3 paragraphs, 3 body paragraphs where I give 3 arguments. So the first argument is going to be organization, right? So first of all, it's way easier to organize students when they're wearing uniforms. And then I explain. Teachers will have an easier time identifying who is whom. And usually in schools, we can separate colors by grade, which makes it a lot easier for teachers. There you go. So you have a complete argument there. The second thing you do is you give another argument and another argument. So the second argument could be safety. Well, it's way safer because then we're going to be able to identify if there's any person who is not from the school, blah, blah, blah. That's another argument. And very good, Bharat. A sense of equality. I love that argument. Very good argument. So third, or finally, because it makes students feel more equal and lowers competition to see who is cooler or has more status. Beautiful, right? Perfect. So then you would give those 3 reasons. So what I want you guys to, if you can, the most important part, 90% of your score is on learning how to give a better argument. And my students, Dairy is here, so you would know that we talk about giving a better argument in speaking task 7 and in writing task 2. And then lastly, guys, task 8 very quickly here, and we're going to go through to Q&A very simple, very quickly. All I need you guys to learn about task 8 is that 100% of the times, it's a weird picture. Mike, what if it's a picture that I don't know about? It will be. That's what they want. Examiners are looking for your ability to find words that you don't know. That's what they're looking for. So the most important thing I want you guys to do here is don't be afraid of saying, I think this looks like, because that's mostly what you're going to do, right? And don't be afraid of not, you don't know. Guys, look at this. I don't know how to say the name of this type of chair or stool. But I will say, well, this looks like a fantasy themed restaurant where everything is about forests or magical forests. Like I try to describe, right? And then I try to describe the table. I can say the table looks like a tree trunk, but it's made out of metal and there is a glass tabletop, right? That's what I do. So the description here is something you will have to practice with many examples. You have to do as much as you can. But what I want you guys to remember is the why. So you always have a why of why you're describing. And here is the why. So you are at a restaurant. You are seated in a very unique area. This is the most important thing. People forget. There's a reason why you're calling. So I'm going to call my sister Emma. I'm going to describe what it looks like. And here, this is so important. This is the CTA. Mandatory. People forget it. When I do the description, not only I have to do the description, at the end, when my timer is coming to an end, I have to say, so Emma, would you like to come here next week? Boom, right? So you need that question at the end. It's only literally one line, but you need it, okay? And people forget it. So what I would like you guys to remember, okay? So this is the structure. I have my greeting. I say why I'm calling. Hey, Emma, I'm calling because I'm at this very weird restaurant I think you're going to love, right? Description. So, blah, 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 blah. Guys, there's nothing I can teach you here other than you need to expand your vocabulary, right? And then in my closing, I go, so, Emma, would you like to come here next week? So, I would say, the introduction, important, but not crazy important. Your score comes from here. 80% comes from here. Is knowing how to describe well, lots of vocabulary expansion. You can use a reference. You can use a movie reference. Absolutely. And closing, a very good closing. So, Emma, would you like to come here? Please remember to use the name of the person. Okay? There's going to be a name there. And we did it. Okay. I was able to do it. Guys, I usually do this in 6 hours to my students, and I did it to you guys in about 45 minutes. Okay, so we can take some questions. We have time for questions. Let's go. Do you guys have any questions for me? Is there questions in the Q&A, Chris? Or if there's not, then that's fine.
Thanks for squeezing it in an hour. It was amazing, wasn't it? It was
possible.
Great.
Was it good? Were you guys able to learn? Hopefully, right?
Absolutely. We did have a question, but you answered it already. It was just this showing the task 8 again.
Okay.
Let's wait a moment till somebody else probably will have a question, but it was great. When I was talking with Prometric, so Prometric are the ones who created the test, they said that even though we're talking to a computer, it's very important to use body language. So we show in a sense that we are connecting, like in this case with a friend, hey, John, and use your body and try to express. It will help you to express yourself better.
This is actually a great tip. I haven't thought about that, but I'm going to start implementing this. Very good tip, because I naturally do this, but it's a very good tip. How's the class, guys? Tell me in the comments. Give me some ideas. After you give me some good recommendations for the team there. Shebna, what if you know you are not able to do it in time, and how do you end abruptly? Very good question. Love this question. When you cannot finish a question in time, is basically just lack of practice. That's all. That's how I can answer. If you are practicing enough, you know how much time you take. And then by practicing enough, especially using mock tests, super important, then you can understand your timing. So the timing is all about practice. And of course, there are the right time to end. So at task 8, for example, if I finish after the CTA and then time's over, I'm good. That's okay. The problem is if I finish before the CTA. So I have to watch the timer and adjust. Guys, Christina, what I'm going to do, because I didn't think about sharing the slides. I just put the website there. The students are going to have to copy it. But if you guys copy this website, I just put in the comments, You're gonna send a message to my team, okay? And then you can just say, hey, can you send me the PDF of the class? And then they'll send it to you. Just go expressprep.ca/WPP, okay? Express Prep. I'm gonna type it out for you guys. I'll send it to my team right now. And then you guys can message them. And they'll send you
I think I got it as well. I'm sending all the information from the center, and teacher Mike is expressprep.ca. Is it that one?
Yeah,
And that's the
expressprep.ca
WhatsApp as well?
/WPP. If you do the
All right.
/WPP is better because they're gonna go straight into my. They're gonna
Perfect.
talk to my team. Somebody said, "Love you," and Dr. Felipe. Man, I'm gonna talk to him about it because I recently met him. Very nice guy, and I'm not sure if you are in that field. Probably because he's in the field of. Is it IMF? I'm not sure the name of the field, but I think so. Very cool. Very cool. Very nice guy. Awesome. Okay, we did it, Christina. It was amazing. Okay, was able
It
to do it.
was amazing indeed. Thank you so much.
IMG.
I'm sure you all got great value. We learned a lot today. So remember also to be authentic, but be realistic. It's very important for these tests, and you're gonna do it. As Mike were saying, like, just keep practicing. I know it's kind of weird to talk to a computer, at least for me. I don't find it very, like, I don't know, familiar. I don't know what's that, but
Yeah.
it's great if you're recording yourself. So record yourself,
Oh, yeah.
and then you can listen, and okay, you'll be more aware of your mistakes. So that's a great method as well. And it was amazing. I think we don't have any more questions. We did it in an hour. You covered everything. You
Woo.
answered questions. It was great.
Great.
So
Hope you guys enjoyed it.
I will really love to have you again. Great support. Thank you. No, thank you for
Saturday, right?
participating. Yeah, and we will be here again on Saturday. So why don't you try this couple of days, like tomorrow, record yourself, and let's see how you're doing. And if you do have more questions, join us again on Saturday.
Absolutely.
You can ask the questions. That will be great.
Yeah, come and ask
Really
questions on
good
Saturday.
to. All right, amazing. Thanks for your comments, guys. Again, please, if you can reply our survey so we can keep improving for you. There's only one optional question we're asking, just to let us know what supports do you need from the center. So let us know, and we will try our best to do that. Again, thanks everybody for being here, and I hope to see you this Saturday again.
Thank you, guys.
Take care, everybody. Thanks. Bye-bye.